Can you can hear me, no?
Yes,
Namo
Reverend.
tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I pay my homage to the Blessed Lord. Okay, I think we might have to keep this little time. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the Noble Eightfold Path. So last week we had a snapshot, like a summary of the four teachings of the Buddha, starting from the Four Noble Truths. And you can see it's all linked. We really can't separate them. It's all linked. So today we are going to talk about the actual method, what Buddha had pointed us as what we need to practice to find that solution to our problem. Last week we spoke about our problem is our stress, the suffering, and dukkha in Pali. So we want to now find the solution, how we can live without suffering, without the stress. We want to find the freedom. So Buddha points out there's only one way to do it. That's called the middle path, the Noble Eightfold Path. Because those days, the people believed in two paths that as to be free from suffering and to find happiness, they thought if they followed the Kama Sukallikana Yoga and the Atta Kilamatana Yoga, that is the way to live a good life free from suffering. But Buddha pointed out it's good to know this history because that can help you to understand the importance of what Buddha had laid down to us in front of us and why we should practice that, not get strayed. So, in the world, normally when people are stressed, they practice running away from the stress or from the suffering. And they like to relax the body and find comfort and happiness in a way. Sometimes not only it's just wasting the time, energy, money, but even damaging oneself. Yesterday I was teaching these children, and I was telling them that there is these two kinds of food, junk food and good food. What do we normally like? Junk food, because it's very appealing. When you eat it, it's very thirsty. It really gives pleasure instantly, and it really takes your attention, and you feel like eating, and you even get addicted. But the problem is, more and more we get addicted to eat this junk food. What it gives is not what we need, not the nutrition, not the good things, but it gives junk, toxins, and unhealthy things that really deteriorate our good health and brings us sickness, physically, mentally, and it shortens our lifespan. and we will die early too. So, this is the danger when you get used to these junk things. It leads to suffering. So, more and more we try to use those wrong ways to please our senses. We also don't like the good things. Now, the good food becomes then very bland, very boring, because it's not like, it doesn't give pleasure like this junk food. So it's very difficult for the kids to eat them, for the parents to feed the good food. But that is what is needed. That is what gives us the nutrition, and that is what's going to help us to develop our good health and long life. If we lose the health, arogya paramalabha, you lose the health means you lose everything. Your wealth, your energy, everything you have is gone down the drain. You will be facing with lot of alab, means loss. Everything will be a loss because we have to use all the money we have. If the money runs out, that we try to, cure something or remedy something, and the money runs out, then we will even go to sell the houses, properties. You have seen people like that when they get hit by this very severe illnesses and they require a lot of money. People even end up in the street because they have to spend everything they have to save their limb, the organ, the life. We do everything. So this is why Buddha says arogya paramalabha. It's our prime duty to look after our physical, mental health. If we lose that, we lose everything. So when you get used to use these junk things to satisfy ourselves, this is where we end up. We end up losing everything for this life. When you lose health, a lot of suffering follows. This is why it's not good. And we also have a short lifespan. We will have to die early. And also, not only that, these things will have very bad consequences in the mind as well. And when we die, we won't be peaceful. We won't be able to have a good thought. And our life after also is going to get affected, and we might be born in a lower realm. So, getting used to use this junk, whether it's a food or things, it's not a good thing. So I was teaching them that there is two kinds of happiness too, like this junk food and the good food. I used it as an example so they can understand. So for the happiness also, Buddha is showing there is two types: junk happiness and good quality happiness. So the difference is the good quality happiness comes while we are relaxing the body in a good way, and it brings a lot of comfort, peace of mind, and happiness at the same time. So it raises the boosts the immune system. It develops good health. It sustains good health. It gives long life. It sharpens the mind, the memory, the decision making, thinking process, and it helps develop wisdom, and it helps not only to live a good life, successful life here and now, even life after. But the problem is when we do not know how to access this good quality happiness that leads to good health and to for all the good things, this is noble eightfold path is the path for that. To gain, this is the secret, the key to gain good quality happiness. So when people don't know that, where do they go? In this Kama Sukha Lukana Yoga, where do they go? Is to access this junk happiness where it comes like a pleasure, quick pleasure. And it disappears quickly as well because we are messing up with our own thinking, own glands, own hormones. But they will disappear so quickly, and at the same time, a lot of it, they do a lot of damage to our organs, to kidneys, to liver, to the heart, to the lungs, even to the brain, the worst. So this is why they call their junk, because it leads to bad health, ill health, physically, mentally, and it affects us, not just to suffer this life, even the life after. So this is why we have to avoid that. So when we go to this Kama Sukalya Kanu Yoga, because normally when people live with their baseline with stress, if we are living with, I hope you will remember that I showed you the connection between I, me, myself, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, and the ego. That is what leads to our body go into this sympathetic, activate the sympathetic nervous system and take us into this self-survival mode to fight or flight reaction. So we get emotional all the time. We live with moods, with a lot of emotions. So emotion means all the time motion, movement. So no peace. Opposite of movement is peace. So if all the time, if we are emotional and moody with anger, with desires, with anxiety, worries, sadness, loneliness, lust, whatever it is, no peace. So Buddha pointed out that if we are trying to gain access to pleasure, to arousing our nervous system, while we are in the pursuit of wanting, I want to be happy, wanting the self to be happy, we are arousing this self-survival system, and what we will end up is getting emotional. What we get end up is developing 5 hindrances. Kamachanda, Vyapada, Tina Midda, Uddachaka Kucha Vichikicha. Kamachanda means the desire to please your senses, sensual pleasures, going after the sensual pleasures. Vyapada is the ill will, the ill way that we think, and so we get angry, we have anxiety, worries, things like that. Kamachanda Vyapada. Tina Midda is the depressive, the shrinking of the mind energy, depressiveness, like the sleepiness, not interested in anything. Uddachakukricha is that the mind is scattered all over the place. Thoughts are running around here, there, everywhere, and you can't be still in one place. Fidgety. Too much energy scattered everywhere. Energy is not directed, channeled, but they don't know how to control. So the mind is like, you throw a stone to a that we call the bambaru, the European wasp. You all have seen, like not like the bees, the bigger one we call the wasp. You throw a stone at a hornet's nest, the wasp nest. You see they go bzz, 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 everywhere. And it's like that, the mind, when people go down this path. And then it leads to vichikicha also, to that dividance of the mind, and leading to suspicion, or not even trusting the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And what it shows is you're lowering your faculty of wisdom, and you give the power to the emotions at the end of the day. That's what it is. This is why you doubt. We doubt things when we can't understand. So how do we understand? From the prefrontal cortex, the mind, the real part that makes us human beings, the real part that helps the wisdom. That is what the special thing about the human beings, the ability to think rationally, logically, make good decisions. That's the part that gets damaged when we follow these wrong paths to find pleasure. So when we damage that, it hinders our ability to reason out, to be able to understand. So when we can't understand things, we start to suspect, we start to have suspicion, we start to have doubt and all that. So this is why it happens. So we end up allowing the emotions to make decisions, and emotions to drive us, dominate us. So we even then can't understand who is Buddha, what is Dhamma, what is Sangha. We have doubts everywhere, and it's this teaching also, we cannot get help from this teaching because we don't understand, we doubt. That's because our mental faculty is damaged. I just showed you the insight why the Vichikicha is translated into doubt, but it's not just a word. This is what happened. It weakens the brain, the prefrontal cortex, so it weakens our mind, the ability to think rationally, logically, and the wisdom part. So then you don't have much understanding power, the capacity, so you can't even understand the Dhamma, you can't even understand the Buddha, you can't even understand the Sangha. So therefore, even if someone hear it or teach it, they can't understand. So they only doubt, doubt, doubt. That's the thing. So it leads to develop these five hindrances. This we say the panchanivarana. So when we come to that stage, our brain is very weak with all the hormones, emotions here, and they are very toxic. And as I told you that in the brain, the most sensitive part is the prefrontal cortex, that what gave us the ability to become a human being. That gets weakened. That gets the target first and damages. So when that part is damaged, it's very difficult to develop wisdom, very difficult to control the mind, and by the mind, the emotions. So the emotions will, that is our default mode from the um, evolution. The gene, we go to that mode. That is the self-survival mode. I, me, myself. Being selfish, self-centered, with ego. So when you go to that mode, only the stress and the suffering, only the emotions and the tensions and everything. So normally, people live in this mode. I'm teaching you the Dhamma with the scientific aspect because I have understood what happens inside out with my education and seeing it for my eyes. And then with the practice, I understand, okay, this is what it happens. Because what we learn, we have to apply to this body, this brain, to this mind. Because Buddha is talking about this machine here. So lucky that, my mom forced me to study. So I studied. I didn't have much interest. All I wanted was to go to Himalayas and stay and meditate. But lucky my mom kept pushing. So I studied biomedicine. So I can understand now from the physical sense, inside out, and the hormones, the chemicals, the electromagnetic fields. And at the same time, when I learn the Dhamma, I can understand, this is what happens, this is what happens. And I was very lucky to meet Bhante Punnaji, who was also a doctor. And at the same time, he has studied immensely this philosophy, parallel religions, and he also had started to think critically, try to understand what Buddha taught and how to apply it to here, how to see that here. And I was in my journey in that way too. So when I met Bhante Punnaji, it was quite a match. And I did post to you a clip of my teacher. If you like, please watch it so you can understand, because we learn things from the book. It is bookish knowledge that's being transported to us. But when someone teaches it from their own understanding, then it has energy, and also it helps us all to see things in a very clear way and to understand, and then it makes it easier for us to practice, because Noble Eightfold Path is not just theory. We need to understand the theory part in order to start walking in this path, because this is where the solution lies, how to find freedom from suffering. So that's why it's very important to understand this inside out, and the theory, and how to apply it, how to practice it, so we can benefit, we can see the results for us. Okay, so normally people resort into, they live with this stress, with I, me, myself concept. So their baseline is a lot of stress. So with this stress, they're very emotional. As a result of that, they have a lot of physical tension in the muscles, in the body, in the joints, so a lot of aches, pains, and very discomfort in the body. At the same time, then mind is not happy. When the body is not relaxed, when it's not at ease, when the body is tensed, mind tend to tense as well. So when we have a tense mind, we call it a stress, and the tense mind creates unhappiness. Mind is not happy. It is the level of the unhappiness that we call the, soka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, upayasa, level of the stress, to which level it is unhappy. Initial stage is the soka. It is unhappy. It is a little bit, not happy. Soka. Parideva is when it's bit prolonged. Like, let's see, someone dies. So we are unhappy. We are sad. We use that word to denote that level, sad. And then we normally bounce back. But if it prolongs, parideva, they think, ayo, why it happened to me? Why it happened to me? Why they left me? Why mom left me while I'm alive? Why my child left me like that? If it goes on and on and on, it's going to affect with the hormones. We are going to get addicted to the sad hormones, and we are going to have like a shadow effect, like all the time the clouds are moving. All the time there's a sadness, loneliness. And so if you don't bounce back quickly within few days, few weeks, this is what's going to happen. Soka parideva. Then it will lead to the next level, dukkha domanassa. So by these hormones, now bringing these unnecessary hormones that's taking us in this fight or flight reaction, creating this we tend to tense physical body, and the mind tends to be unhappy now, and it's going to lead to a deeper level, dukkha domanassa. Domanassa is the real word, if you translate, is probably clinical depression side. Like there is no happiness at all. It's gloomy and sad, and they can't bounce back to a peaceful, happy mind. All the time, kind of very gloomy. For the little thing, they are sad. For the little thing, they get angry. For the little thing, they have anxiety, worries, like that. So the mind is getting sick. We call mentally sick when it leads to this level. That level is kind of mentally sick. So dukkha is there. What is happening with the physical body? Physical body also gets very tensed, very uncomfortable. It produces a lot of aches and pains and a lot of suffering. So it goes together, dukkha domanassa. So when the body is tensed and produces a lot of aches and pains and things, the mind is, of course, very dull and very emotional, very unhappy, and no energy. So if this continues, dukkha domanassa upayasa. Upayasa means you exhaust your energy. And this is the time where someone from clinical depression leads to suicidal level. So if they really exhaust everything, they lose the interest to live, and then the suicide comes. So this is how the stress develops to the last bit. Soka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, So very clearly Buddha had shown what is happening with our mind and physical body, level by level, level by level. And today there is someone called Hans Selye. He had understood this. And he has mentioned these three stages. He had put into three stages: alarm reaction, stage of resistance, and stage of exhaustion. So even in the West, people have started to understand about the mind, how it starts to decline and what happens. So what he says, I don't know whether he had studied Buddhism or not, but from his observation about the mind and how it starts to decline, it is very similar to what Buddha had taught us. What Buddha had taught us is a correct thing, the right way, and how it really happens. And this Hans Selye also kind of have come very close, and he mapped it in the same way. So now we know this is actually how the mind declines and gets mentally ill, and then even loses the interest to live to that level. So there is different levels of this sadness that we can measure. And it is in that measurements we call also when it's happening stroke of call that can you hear me? There is a call coming. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Ah, okay, good, good. Because sometimes from the WhatsApp, when the calls come, I think that's where the disturbance comes. Anyway, thank you for bearing it with me. Anyway, so it is this the disturbance, the emotions, the unhappiness that we give the levels, that depending on what level of that emotion is, we give names, whether it's sadness, whether it's grief, whether it's lamenting, whether it's anger, anxiety, worries, fear, lust, jealousy, like that we give names. It's all levels of how much the shaking. Anyway, hope you understand. So normal people are all the time in that mode. Something happens, we react, and all the time we are kind of charged. So there all the time there is a stress in the body and in the mind. So all they are interested is now when we are stressed, when we have tension in the physical body, and when our mind is not happy, we want to find happiness. Who likes to suffer? No one. Who likes to have tension, stress? No one. So everyone's wish and the quest is to be happy. So we look for happiness. Our baseline is real unhappiness, real unsatisfied feeling, stress, the dukkha, but that's not what we want. We want to be happy. So what happens? We look for the happiness. So normally, to the normal mind, what appeals is the Kama Sukha Yoga. Pleasing your five senses as much as you can, because we can please the senses. And the worst way to please the senses and get happiness is by using the drugs, weeds, the ganja, the alcohol, the cigarette. Probably now they are saying even playing games in the computer, and things like that, because that really messes up the brain with the messaging system. When we, for example, if we take a drug, what it does, it taps into the our kind of the relaxing pathways, and then it instantly relaxes us. So this is why people like to take drugs, so they feel like floating, like someone I met, someone who have been taking drugs and who are into meditation now, and who got into a good meditation, and he said to me, look, many nuances, you know what, in the past I have taken drugs, and this experience that I experienced, it could have been very similar to jhanic experience. He said, wow, I got this experience when I had drugs, the magic mushroom. It produced this very relaxed, very peaceful, calm feeling. And so then I looked into this. Then I understood it's actually the DMT, the same thing that when we attain into this high samadhi dhyana levels, that what gets produced when we take in drugs. But the thing is, because it's artificial, it messes up our natural system. Even though it gives so much bliss and happiness, it's very temporarily, and at the time they can be toxic. So it affects our liver, the kidneys, and at the same time these things affects our nervous system slowly, slowly, because they are outside and they are also messing up. And so what happens, slowly, slowly, it starts to kill the brain cells as well. And you lose even the ability to think properly, because it kills first the prefrontal cortex cells. So it takes away that ability to think clearly and develop humanness, human qualities, and memory and everything. So this is why, to find that relaxation and happiness, if we use the drugs, that's the most junk pleasure we can get, because it leads to bad physical health, bad mental health, and it destroys our mind and our life, and not just here now, even hereafter. Because when we die, if we die with a mind that we cannot have, um, proper purity, proper focus when we are dying, if it's all around everywhere, if it's disturbed, Buddha says, when you die, if you can't have a handle on your chutisita, or that last thought, if you're not going to be mindful, if you don't have the control over it, if you're not conscious in that minute, you cannot choose, you cannot produce your last thought the proper way, in the wholesome way, then your chance of being born in a good realm is very minimum. This is why Buddha says, Sihiya vikal vela maraneka. That is in Sinhala. We need to have a good, strong, sound mind when we die, to have a good chutisita, to have a good rebirth. So, if we go this wrong way to find happinesses, it not only destroys the life here and now, this life, even the life after. So, this is one of the most dangerous ways to find junk pleasure. We call it junk pleasure because it's not a true one, it's not a good quality one, it's not natural, it's very artificial, and it kills and destroys our brain cell and the organs and our whole life. And it makes us sick, physically, mentally, and it adds a lot of pressure to our pocket, to our family, and to the taxpayer, and to everyone in the society. And we end up having a human being no use for anyone. A very selfish human being. They only can work and focus and work for their agendas. If they like something, they can work hard, they can do whatever. But if someone even asks help, no, they can't. If they can't volunteer, they can't go and help anyone. They cannot practice the 10 perfections. They cannot give up working on ego, the conceit, the I, me, myself, the selfishness, self-centered. No way. Because they are now gone to the default mode through the limbic system, just to be selfish, and just the gene will take us into the self-survival mode. And who we have a human body, but an animal, murga. So we will develop the Murga Sanya, like how the animals think, how the animals act. They will be exactly like that way of thinking and acting. And it's very difficult for people also, because they think it's a good human being. They don't see there's a tiger, there is a viper, there is a, whatever not in here, because they think it's a human being. So they go get close, get friendly, then they get attacked, they get, even the others. So it's not pleasant at all to associate with someone who have damaged here. So this brings trauma, not just to oneself, even to the ones around. So this is why we should not look for happiness in the wrong way. So I know that this doesn't apply to the Samaneris or to the Bhikkhunis, because I know you all don't take any weeds, or ganja, or drugs, or mushrooms, or alcohol, or cigarettes, or things like that. But this is what happens in the society, because it's a very quick way to find this relaxation and happiness. And this is the most dangerous way to find happiness, pleasure. So, leaving that aside, who knows about that? That is not a good way to find happiness. Then the other things are like, the SCX. to reproduce, what we do, that relaxes a lot too. This is why people even can rape to find happiness. And this Natcha, Gita, Vadita, Visuka, Dasana, Mala, in 8 precepts, the eighth one, the seventh one, what it says is normal people, they try to find pleasure by singing, dancing, watching TV, watching drama, by joking, and by beautifying, and the list goes on. You know what people do normally to find happiness, even going for trips, sports, and things like that. Shopping, window shopping, and so whatever, if you analyze what people do normally, is actually to find happiness. So a lot of this, they do it unconsciously because they're burning with the suffering here, burning the tension, the unhappiness. So in order to run away from that and to find some quick pleasure, they do these things. But what Buddha is pointing out, this is very temporary. You can run away, but when you come back after that activity or taking that substance, you're back to normal with yourself. You have the same problem, and because it's prolonged, the problem is now got bigger as well with time. So this is not the way to find solution to this. So these are useless methods, dangerous methods to find happiness. But this is what everyone does. Everyone is like, oh, having fun, fun, fun. Want to have fun? They follow this Kama Sukha Jnana Yoga. They spend money, energy, time, and everything to find happiness in this wrong way. And all they have is a loss of money, time, energy, good health, their lifespan, everything. And this life and even the life after. So this is why Buddha says, give it up. Nekkhamma. Nekkhamma means renouncing these thoughts of wanting to please your senses, wanting to find pleasure, pleasurizing these 5 senses, give it up. So to the level when people understand this, they even go to live a brahmachari life. So they don't use those organs also to find any happiness, because they know that is also no good. They also have consequences. So people, when they understand, they give up pleasing the senses and restrain them and live a brahmachari life. And even for the food, they are not going to let the food take over them. They are not going to be a slave to the food. They are going to be the master and eat the food only, not because of taste, but to sustain the life, to get some energy, to practice, develop this mind, and to find freedom from suffering and to help others also. So that way, they don't even let the tongue do any, negative things, or bring up the emotions, liking, disliking, because we know it's a disturbance. Whatever we do, allowing the emotions to come, the desires or hatred, no good. So this is why the people who knows this, instead of going after this Kama Sukha Yoga or this developing Kama Chanda, what they do, they renounce this thinking, this wanting to please the senses and things like that. Seeing the danger, this is called contemplating the consequences of going after these things. In Pali, it's called Adinava. We need to understand, yes, when you please your senses, there is a pleasure. We do accept that, but we also know Adinava. There's a lot of bad consequences following it. So when we contemplate those, Nissarana happens, means we will want to let go. We will want to not follow those paths, and we will want to resort into the right path, that is a noble eightfold path, to find good quality, proper happiness. So, Kama Sukha Yoga is not the way, Buddha pointed out. And also the other one is having hatred, or expressing the hatred, or giving too much pain and suffering to the body, because people knew pleasing the senses is a wrong way. So what they did, they went into asceticism. They started depriving the senses and the body and try to even give uh, pain to the body, which Buddha said that is also wrong, because it's not going to lead you anywhere. Only the understanding will liberate us. So this middle path is not, some people say, oh, little bit of this, little bit of that, we just mix it, and we don't get attached to here, we are not there, we are taking little bit of this, little bit. No, 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 no. The noble eightfold path, the middle path, is not little bit of this or little bit of that. It's totally based on understanding. We do things with understanding. This leads to suffering. This doesn't lead to suffering. So therefore, we give up the things that leads to suffering. We practice the things that need to be developed to find freedom from suffering. That is Noble Eightfold Path. The middle path we call Majjhima Patipada. Okay. Now, I hope you understood that before the Buddha arises in the world, when people are suffering, what they do to get rid of the suffering and to find moment of happiness, this is what they do. Follow Atta Kilamatanu Yoga or the Kama Sukallikana Yoga, which none of it had any good, real, long-lasting effects. Only while you're practicing it, which Kamasikallikana yoga is like the normal Puthajjanas. That's what they practice, anyone and everyone, as long as they're Puthajjanas. And so it doesn't work. So this is why it's then Buddha come to the world and points out that's not the way to live, because that's not going to liberate you from physical, mental suffering. What we have to do, if you don't like to suffer, we need to raise that baseline of that mind, that the suffering state of the mind. Dukkhe loko patichito, Buddha says, the status is actually that the mind is always addictive to this dukkha, to this stress, to the unhappiness. So we need to find the causes and conditions why the mind's baseline is like that and liberate it from that. To do that is the Noble Eightfold Path, the key. Okay, now I hope that you understand the importance of this Majjhima Patipada, the Noble Eightfold Path, Arya Ashtangika Marga. Okay, now let's come to the Arya Ashtangika Marga. So the first step is Sammaditthi. There is 8 steps. Ashtangika means 8. So the Noble Eightfold Path, and Bhante Punyaji calls it supernormal, because if you listen to it, he argues to say that normally there are many methods for the people to normally to come to a normal life, but if you practice this path, it makes a normal person even to go beyond the normality, and you become a superhuman being, like the Arahants. They are not normal. Like the Buddha, not normal. They have gone beyond the normal human capacity, average human capacity. So this is why Bhante Punyaji says it's supernormal. Arya Ashtangika Marga is. Anyway, so now let's go to talk the Noble Eightfold Path. So I hope you understood the importance of we not trying to run away from our stress or the suffering that we experience. We should not resort to the useless methods, the temporary methods, but we must understand why there is suffering and how to eradicate the cause of suffering and how to be free from suffering. So when we are free from that stress, what we have is a mind free from 5 hindrances, mind free from emotions. So mind is very tranquil. We call imperturbable serenity has started in the mind. It's so peaceful. Nothing will shake it. So when the mind is so peaceful like that, because of the purity of the mind, because we follow the right path, so the selfless way. So we practice the selflessness and we come to the selfless realization. So that purity in the mind brings relaxation to the body. So the body is relaxed and comfortable. Passadda kayo sukhang vedeti. When the body is relaxed, Buddha says, you feel very comfortable. Sukha, sukha. Sukhino chittang samadhyati. So when this body is so relaxed and comfortable, sukhino chittang samadhyati. Our chitta, the mood settles in, comes to a balance point, to a samadhi, where there is no more five hindrances, and you come to that samadhi state means bliss. You are activating the parasympathetic, this third eye, the pineal gland secretes hormones that relaxes the whole body and gives immense preeti. And preeti sukha, this is what they experience when someone is experiencing the samadhi, the dhyanas, total bliss, no tension, stress in the body, floating like, very light, very comfortable, very warm, and you feel like you're in a cocoon, a lot of energy, and then you have this bubbling up, like not a disturbant pleasure, but a very serene, satisfied feeling, a happy feeling, very contented feeling. It's a very noble, serene feeling, not jumping up and down pleasure. This happiness, the rapture, the preeti, is to be able to understand is it's not like laughing type of a thing, but it's very serene and you feel very contented with whatever. So you're very happy. It's a very subtle way to, I don't know how to explain the proper word, but that is how it is. So one is happy. They are not unhappy. They are not dissatisfied. They are not unsatisfied. They are not stressed. They're very comfortable with whatever the environment where they are, whatever, all good. They are in bliss. So this is the true happiness that we can access. We have that ability. So Buddha pointed out how to get there. So in order to get there, we need to follow this noble eightfold path. There's no any other shortcuts. No samatha, no vipassana. The actual path is noble eightfold path. We need to practice this. This is what Buddha is saying in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. If someone wants to find freedom from suffering, here monks, noble eightfold path. So in the noble eightfold path, when you practice, you have to do the samatha. You have to do the vipassana. They both have to go hand in hand. We just can't pick it out and just practice just that. If you do that, we don't get these results, because if you want to find freedom from suffering, it has to start from samyak drushti. That's a key. That's a thing. Only with samyak drushti we can do the real proper meditation. Just excuse me. Yeah. So the samyak drushti is the first step, understanding of the Four Noble Truths, and which we spoke about last week. And it's about, if I go back, understanding what caused you the stress, this avidya, this the sense of I, me, myself. And the cause of that suffering, the tanha. And, the cause of it. This tanha means that the I, me, myself, not happy, always wanting that thirst all the time, the thirst, because the body is going in the fight or flight reaction, not contented. So always there is a need to do something, need to want something. So tanha, it's a craving. Then when we know the cause, we can work to get rid of it, create the causes and conditions to get rid of it. And we know now it's a wisdom. It's an understanding of this that gets rid of this sense of I, me, myself, and the tanha. Then the state that is no more tanha, no more avidya is called nibbana. The mind that is not shaking, imperturbable serenity of that mind. In the midst of puttassa loka dhammehi chittam yassana kampati. Asokam virajam kema etam mangala muttama. That is that state of the mind. The mind will never shake again in the midst of any vicissitude of life, whether it's labha, alabha, ninda, prasansa, kirti, apakirti, yasa, ayasa, means gain, loss, the happiness, the unhappiness, suffering, the fame, ill fame, and the gain, praise, and blame. So every time when I'm saying a Pali word, actually I'm also translating it in English. So if you don't understand the Pali words, doesn't matter. I'm saying translating it into English, so you're not lost. Okay. So that is the 8 vicissitudes of life: praise and blame, gain and loss, happiness and suffering, and fame and ill fame. So normally when people face this, if the good side, what we like, happens, oh, they get elated, they jump up and down, laugh, party, firecrackers. And then when the things that they don't like happens, when they have to face that, they have a nosedive, depressed, sad, cry, shout, go to fight, blame others, even try to kill others or oneself. This is how the normal people face the 8 vicissitudes of life. When the good side happens, they get elated to the same level that way they get elated when the good things happens. The same level they will go down when things go not in their control and they have to face the things they don't like. They have a nosedive. So this is not good. This huge ups and downs, huge ups and downs. So, what Buddha is saying, when someone develops their mind, these up and downs will go flat. So, when someone have come to this realization, the selfless realization, they face the 8 vicissitudes of life with equanimity, no more shaking. It's in a balance. The mind is always in a samadhi. The arahat or the full enlightened beings' minds don't have the 5 hindrances. They don't have emotions. Their body doesn't go in the fight or flight reaction or the sympathetic in self-survival because they don't have a sense of self. They have realized there is no self, the non-self aspect. So the body is fully um, taking messages in the parasympathetic, and it activates that pineal gland all the time. It's a pineal gland now taking care of the body. The body is in such a relaxed state, bliss and happiness all the time. This is how an arahant's mind is all the time. So Buddha is saying this is the final result. Nibbana means having an unshakable mind. This is possible for us to achieve. So that is the third noble truth. This attaining to this imperturbable serenity of mind, to the bliss of Nibbana. And then the fourth noble truth is how to get there. The noble eightfold path. Arya Ashtangika Marga. So that's a path. So this is what we are going to talk today. So that's the first step. Samyak Drishti is understanding this properly, thoroughly, and being able to understand from within, being able to apply from within. And I think I'm going to take this level, bit deeper level, to the Samyak Drishti because it's very important for us to understand how we have to see the dukkha, the first noble truth. Now, I kind of summarized all 4, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. The first one, dukkha, because dukkha is something to be understood. Only if you understood the dukkha that we get propelled to practice and to finish this or to end this suffering. When we understand, we don't have any room actually. Every time this mind produces dukkha. How? Buddha is pointing out that the rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, the five khandhas that constitutes all our experience, whether it's seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, comprehension, whatever it is. How they come to be, this is neuroscience actually. If I tell you scientifically how it takes place, in Pali, that's exactly what Buddha have taught 2,500 years ago. So how, let's take the seeing, so it's easy for you to understand. I hope you will pay attention and try to understand this. If you get this point right, I think we can have a change in the way we think about our experiences, about our life. So hopefully that will have a profound effect in us, how we understand the Dhamma. So let's take, for example, seeing. So it needs, Buddha says, there is chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku vijnana tinnang sangati passo. What it says is, we need these three things coming together for us to have the seeing. What are those three conditions? So if I say something in Pali, don't worry, I'm going to explain it in English. So you're not going to miss out just because you don't know Pali. So chakku is not this eyeball in a sense that the muscle, but what chakku means is that that sensitivity to the light. There is cells there, that activity that gives us the seeing. So that chakku prasada means, the light from whatever that comes, let's say from the sun. The light comes and gets reflected from something, and then it goes in here, and there is a lens in the eye. What you see there is a lens there. This type of lens, this type, the concave lens, in the focal point, when this light ray goes there, it creates an upside down image, inverted image. If you have done science, physics, O levels, you may have learned in the eye, the lens that we have in that focal point, we actually get an inverted upside down image there from that light ray. And then when that message is taken to the brain from all these senses, like the telephone wires, one nerve goes to the brain from all these senses. So from the eyes, a nerve called the optic nerve goes to the brain, and then this message goes to the brain, and in the visual cortex it goes, takes a message, and it corrects that image to the right side, and we start to see a mental image, not the one that is coming from here that was done in upside down. But now after this message is taken here, it has created the proper side, upright image, which we call rupa, because it's a mind-made one. Rupa is mind-made. It's a mental image, we say now. So then with that light ray, what we actually see is only color. Light is a frequency. So it has, for our eye, we can see 7 frequencies. That is the colors in the rainbow. But there are a lot more frequencies in both ends, which the normal eye can't see, like the radiation, UV, and many ultraviolet. But the eye is not sensitive, that's all. But there's rays in that light spectrum. So with what we can see, what the eye detects is color. So with that color, the image gets formed here, and then it goes to there, and the mental image is constituted. And then with that rupa, we start to question, we start to try to identify it, we start to construct things. What is it? Like that. So we only see the color and that shapes, then we give the names. Like that. So that is that sankhara process, the construction process. Before that, what really starts is that Vedana Sanya. So to this eye, the Sanya is the color. We only see color, not the table, not you, not anyone. You're seeing me here now, but what you're seeing is something in your mind. Even though you think you're seeing me on the phone, but what is appearing is in your mind. So this Sanya, and we experience these colors as pleasant or unpleasant or as neutral. We experience whatever we experience as three ways, either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral Vedana. So, based on this Vedana Sanya, the Sankara, the construction take place. Whether we like it, we don't like it, depending on the experience. If you like it, we want it. Desire, greed. If we don't like an experience, I don't want it. The ill will, the hatred develops. And the neutral feeling. We don't like, we do not like. It's very neutral. Adukkham asukha. So, but in that we have the thinking, oh, it is. The one who is experiencing, we feel, this is me, I. And what we see, we think, oh, it's out there. So the duality gets created here, the subject and the object. Me, this end, the one who experience, we create a me, I, me, myself, and an outside world. Through this neutral, this moha. Okay. So now you know, with the Vedana, the pleasant feeling leads to greed, unpleasant feeling leads to hatred, that neutral feeling leads to moha, for the sense of I, me, myself, exist, this side and outside. Okay. Now, Buddha is pointing out, and then all this, when this process happening, what identifies it or what cognizes it is called the vijnana. It is the vijnana that really cognizes this. So when we start to say, oh, I see, that means chakku vijnana has started. It has happened. So after the chakku vijnana, then chakku vijnana can't think. It is after the chakku vijnana, the ideas and the concepts around it, and try to understand it. Oh, I think when I get a call all the time, it gets disturbed. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Venerable.
Yes. You got disturbed, right? Like it goes muted, right? When I get a call through the WhatsApp?
Yes, your sound will disappear, Venerable.
Yes. Sorry, I have no solution for that because I can't put the air mode, flight mode, then I can't use this either. So please excuse me for that, okay? We'll see Mara. Anyway, so coming back to this what cognizes this experience is called vijnana. I don't know about the today's translations, consciousness, whatever, but it is that the ability to perceive, this is why I like to stay with the Pali words so we get the true meaning. Okay, now you heard about the Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. So this is what constitute our experience. And this Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, they don't just come alone. They depend on each other. They depend on the causes and conditions. So Buddha is pointing out, if something is dependent on causes and conditions, only on causes and conditions they arise. So they are not permanent then. And we can't control over it. It will not stay according to our wish. If the causes and conditions that brought it, if they gone, this experience also will go away. So this lakshana or this quality is called anicca. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, this activity, this process is anicca. So it is not stable, it is not under our control. It is not permanent. So what is anicca brings dukkha. Anicca, dukkha, because if something is not under our control, like for say, pleasant feeling, oh, like it, we want more, but we can't. It's depending on the causes and conditions. If the causes and conditions are not there to bring that pleasant feeling, it's gone. Then we'll be very sad when the pleasant feeling is finished. So even the pleasant feeling at the end of the day brings suffering. That's the thing. So this is called viparinama dukkha. So even if we are experiencing pleasant feelings, at the end of the day, what we get, net result, is viparinama dukkha. So that's why we should not get attached to pleasant feelings. And if the unpleasant feeling arises, we don't like it anyway. So dukkha dukkha. We can't wait to get rid of an unpleasant feeling, the pain. Adukkha sukha vedana means that Dukkha sukha is that neutral feeling. We still think, here I am, I'm experiencing it, the world out there. So there's a lot of moha, this delusion about I, me, myself, and a world out there. So that is called Sankara Dukkha, because that is the problem. The base of the problem is this delusion. Not seeing things as they are. Didn't see Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, Anicca, Dukkha. What is producing this dukkha? Every experience, every moment is producing dukkha. So what is anicca, dukkha is anatta. This is not someone doing it. So if someone was doing, we could have controlled it. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Amma, Amma, give me a minute. I got someone, but only a minute. Forgive me for that, okay? Thank you. Okay, so now, for what Buddha was pointing out, every experience that we experience, whether through the eyes, the seeing, or through hearing, or through smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, whatever, from the six senses, whatever we experience is anicca, dukkha, anatta. There is no happiness that's coming from this, because every experience, even the pleasant experience, when they go away, we are sad. We want that to happen. We won't have the pleasant experience all the time, but we can't, because it's paticca samuppanna, because it's depending on the causes and conditions. So the viparinama dukkha hits us. Then the dukkha, when the unpleasant feeling comes, we don't like it at all. So we are unhappy again when we are experiencing unpleasant feelings. Then the neutral feelings. It's neutral, like the breath. We don't like it, we don't not like it. There's no desire, there's no hatred towards it. But the problem is, there is sense of arm breathing, my breath. So there is that I and the world. That dichotomy starts from there, separating me and a world out there, others. So this is what we call it is from the experience greed, hatred, delusion starts. It is from this experience that tanha begins. The three branches of tanha, it's called the greed, hatred, and delusion. So this is why Buddha is saying now we need to pay attention to our experience. Only then we will see this happening within us. Until that, it's only theory. But only if you start to see this in you, this is why we try to take time to rest, relax, sit still, not disturbing the mind by watching this, watching that, listening to this, that. So we can see our mind. What is it doing to these experiences? Then more and more we start to realize, yes, they are in the nature of anicca, dukkha, anatta means. So there is no one doing this. There's no capital I or me or myself or a soul that doing these things. It's just impersonal activities that's going on. And because we didn't investigate it, we started to calling, here I am, out there, that's a world, like that. So, but what Buddha pointing out, dukkha means, so as long as someone is puthajjana and they are under this avijja, every experience they go through produces a type of a dukkha. This is what in the Aditya Pariyaya Sutta Buddha is saying. Eye is burning, ear is burning, nose is burning, tongue is burning, body is burning, everything is burning. Means under normal conditions, they produce suffering, stress, unsatisfied feeling. Dukkhe loko patittito. So our baseline is dukkha. There's no way to get out of it unless you see this and work towards getting enlightened to this, getting awakened to this. So you don't get attached to the pleasant feelings. You don't give importance to produce them. You don't try to avoid the painful feelings. If for some karma, we have to face whatever, we just start to face with a neutral mind. But with the neutral feelings also, we are going to penetrate into it and liberate the mind, bring wisdom to see that it's anicca, dukkha, anatta, not get stuck with that sankhara dukkha in the ignorance. So we need to develop our mind, get the wisdom to see through, to cut through the moha, and understand there's no such thick I, me, myself, or a world out there. So when we work on this is called yoniso manasikara. We need to reflect in this right way our every experience. But if we become very busy doing this, doing that, running around and doing all these things, we cannot see this for ourselves. This is why the renunciants are to rest, relax, have time, and whatever they do to practice this selflessness, do it in a very slow motion, very relaxed way, so they get time to be able to see things, what's happening in the mind, what's happening with these experiences, and bring their that realizations with that. That's what Buddha says in the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Yantan santam padang abhisamicha sako ujuju sujuju suocho chassa muduantimani santussa kocha subarocha appa kichocha sallohukavati. It says, don't burden by duties, don't burden by projects. We need to find silence, we need to find rest. That doesn't mean that we should not serve, we should, but at least we must cut down on, finding sensual pleasures, pleasing the senses, getting busy for nothing. Yeah. Anyway, so it's very important to understand how this dukkha is in action, how it's happening to us, and how we can understand, how we can see it. We need to see it from within, from our own experiences. Even the pleasant feeling, oh, it brings suffering. We need to see that. When it disappears, yes, we crave for that same feeling. We don't like it disappeared. So that itself is suffering. That itself is not peace. Not contented, not contentment. That is suffering. So this is why we need to, this is a training. If you can understand this dukkha in the proper way, then the next step is samma sankappa. In the Noble Eightfold Path, the next step is called samma sankappa. So samma sankappa has we need to develop three types of thoughts. Nekkhamma sankappa, avyapada sankappa, avihimsa sankappa. So normally we had that delusion about I, me, myself, and that I wanted to run away from my stress and find happiness from pleasing the senses, using sensual pleasures, kama sukha yoga, by participating. So now we are going to practice the renouncing that thoughts, renouncing wanting things, going after the desires, and the wrong way to please the senses and find happiness, wrong way to escape the suffering we are going through. We are going to, practice the right way, proper way, not to relax the body in the wrong way, but to relax the body in the right way through the nekkhamma. So we need to practice the nekkhamma sankappa when we are experiencing things. Instead of looking at it from nicca sukha atta, that all these experiences are permanent, they bring happiness, here I am, the soul, the something that is there continuously unchanging. Instead of looking at things in this way, we need to see it in accordance with the reality, anicca dukkha anatta. So when we start to see our experience with that aspect, we can create concepts or thinking around our experience with nekkhamma sankappa, avyapada sankappa, avihimsa sankappa. So nekkhamma sankappa is that renouncing thoughts about try not to find pleasure through pleasing the six senses. And avyapada sankappa is, so normally when we can't get what we want, we get frustrated, we get angry, we produce ill thoughts, hatred. So avyapada means instead of going through this ill way, developing hatred, we need to be friendly, soft, gentle, mettave, maitri. So we need to produce thoughts with understanding what's happening and not go into conflict, not produce these ill thoughts, conflicting thoughts. but friendly thoughts, smooth thoughts that doesn't disturb here, with understanding, with loving kindness. Those thoughts are called avyapada sankappa. The other one is, so if we couldn't get that sensual pleasures, the desires, if we couldn't fulfill them, we get frustrated, angry, whatever not. And then the other thing was that if the hatred was building up, then we express it in a way that with violence. The frustration goes out, violence for others, violence for oneself. So normally people experience this relaxation and happiness in the wrong way by practicing the Kama Sukallikana Yoga, by pleasing senses, by getting what they like, going after the desires, they find relaxation, pleasing, and happiness. Or by developing ill will, hatred, anger, fear, anxiety, worries. Again, they get addicted to get a kick from that. And then it gets deepened. If they don't look at it and address this problem, the mind will start to resort into violence, to hurt others and be happy, hurt oneself and be happy. That is the worst part, when someone's mind resorts to find relaxation and happiness by hurting others, by harming others, and getting a kick out of it. That is the worst kind of, that society. You can't live around that type of, if a lot of the majority of people's mind is like that, it's going to be a very stressful society to live. So that is, those are called kama vitarka, kama sankappa, vyapada sankappa, hinsa sankappa. So Buddha is showing how this mind declines. So the samma sankappa is the opposite of that way of thinking, in the wrong way, producing stress for oneself and others. This is opposite. So from avyapada sankappa, then the next thoughts that we must produce instead of the hinsa sankappa is avihinsa sankappa. Thoughts of compassion. Not try to get a kick by hurting others or harming others or oneself, but try to find happiness through helping others, looking after others, raising their status, not being jealous of others' success, things like that. Not engaging in violence, cruelty, but the opposite, from compassion. So, when someone comes to this samyak drushti, when they have understood about anicca dukkha anatta, and they use this yoniso manasikara all the time, they practice that, they start to see more and more how this falsely built I, me, myself, ego, how it created this selfishness, the self-centeredness, and now how we, when we practice, we start to dissolve them. We start to become very loving, very kind. We start to kind of save the resources, money that we spent on having fun. We don't spend money on fun. We use it to help someone, and it gives us more happiness. So when we are in this track, thinking in terms of nekkhamma sankappa, avyapada sankappa, avihinsa sankappa, giving up this pleasing the sensual pleasures, sacrificing that, and developing loving, kind thoughts, developing compassionate thought. This is how we are going to interpret our experiences. Instead of putting I, me, myself in the equation, we interpret now with the anicca dukkha anatta context. So then this is what helps us to develop the paramis. Instead of the self, we are now practicing thinking the selfless way. So the selfless quality starts to build up. Our good quality starts to build up. So more and more we practice this, more and more the body goes to parasympathetic and relaxation and peace. So more and more we practice the samma sankappa properly, they start to feel really good and comfortable. And their sila, the precepts, the moral virtues, ethics become very strong because they are not about they themselves. They are about caring for everyone. So their words, their action, and the way they live also going to align this way of peaceful way. That's called Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva. The third step, fourth step, fifth step in the Noble Eightfold Path. The right, the proper words, the harmonious words, harmonious actions, and harmonious way of living. Because their program is now not about they themselves. It's about anicca dukkha anatta. It's about friendliness. It's about compassion. It's going in the right direction now, not on the stress cycle, but in the relax cycle internally, not taking a drug that you're relaxing, but internally when you're thinking of this way, our body doesn't go into the fight or flight reaction or into that self preservation mode. So we are activating more and more this pineal gland, the pituitary gland will secrete hormones to relax. So if someone with real proper understanding keeps a panchasila, atasila, dasasila, the bhikkhuni, bhikkhu code of Vinaya and all that, itself it relaxes us. More and more we restrain our senses and practices this. This is the proper meditation. Getting rid of the unwholesome and cultivating the wholesome relaxes the body and gives us comfort and happiness. So Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, the harmonious speech, harmonious action, harmonious way of living aligns with this Samma Sankappa. How deep we practice the Samma Sankappa, this harmonious way of thinking, in aligning with the realities, the speech, action, and the way we live will follow that. Now the things are not leading into conflict, not leading into produce 5 hindrances, not leading to have emotions, but now we are creating causes and conditions to have less and less emotions to no emotions, less and less physical mental suffering, more and more relaxation, comfort, and peace of mind and happiness when someone is on this path. Then comes the Samma Vayama. So Samma Vayama has four steps: the harmonious effort, the right proper effort. Effort is to, if first is to not to allow any unreason, unwholesome things to arise. It is through your 5 senses experiences that we allow this to happen. So we restrain them, samvara. And then if any memory or something brings up any unwholesome memories, unwholesome thinking, then we have to get rid of it straight away. That is called prahana. Then it is when we are practicing this samma vayama, the proper effort to samvara, to guard the senses and not allow any unreason, unwholesome thoughts to arise. And when we practice if there's a reason unwholesome thought, we get rid of it, prahana. When you do that, you are not creating any causes and conditions for 5 hindrances to arise. So when you practice this is the proper meditation. When you practice this throughout your day, guarding your senses and guarding your mind, get rid of any unwholesome negative thoughts from the mind straight away. This leads to get rid of the pancha nivarana, 5 hindrances. So when there will come a time where the pancha nivarana goes away totally, that means your mind will come to a samadhi. This step is called coming to samatha samadhi. There's no wisdom in this involved, but it's only sorting out and guarding your senses. And prahana, getting rid of the unwholesome thoughts, will create the samatha samadhi. 5 hindrances are gone. And as a result of this, now bodily relaxation, comfort, and that peace of mind has come, the bliss comes. So vitakka vichara priti sukha ekagata is there. Vitakka vichara means when you're in this samadhi state, you're still able to think. thinking is not affected, but it's not wild thinking. It's not the 100,000 miles per hour. Your mind is running here, there. No. Mind is peaceful. Only if you want to think, you can think. In the first jhana, when you got rid of these 5 hindrances because you have removed the unwholesome thoughts totally and you're not allowing any unwholesome thought to arise, mind is very pure. This purity produces vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha, ekaggata, the qualities of the samadhi, bliss. So with this now, there is a next step to take. That is to develop unarisen, wholesome. And that is to practice sapta bojjhanga. That is the 7th step in the, so we are now kind of merging with the 7th step in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Samma Sati. That the normally translated as the mindfulness, but that is the like the harmonious way of practicing this Sapta Bojjhanga. Samma Sati starts with the technique is 4 foundations of mindfulness. So we are to practice this Samma Sati, the developing the unarisen wholesome, kusala. So what is kusal? Sapta Bojjhanga. How do you develop the Sapta Bojjhanga? Starting from Sati, Samma Sati. Sati, Dhamma Vichaya, Virya, Priti, Pasadi, Samadhi, Upekka. So the same thing. So now when we are practicing this unarisen, unwholesome, we are paying attention to the body, to the feeling, to the mood, to the mind, the cognitive part. Kaya, kaya kayanupassī viharati, vedana vedananupassī viharati, chitte chittanupassī viharati, dhamme dhammanupassī viharati. So now we are focusing on these places and we don't pay attention to outside. It's all introspecting inside. So you start to see how this works. You start to see what type of experiences and what type of experience brings what, how the mind is moved by liking, disliking, blah, blah, blah. And you start to see the anicca, dukkha, anatta in all aspects. It is these 4 places that we misidentified as I, me, myself. Here I am. And also with Vedana, we say with feeling, oh, I feel. See how the capital I comes to that. And with Chittanupassana, we say, I am angry and it's a mood. It's my emotion. I feel that way, like that we personalize that too. And thinking, oh, I think it's my thought, we personalize that too. So these are the 4 places that we take as I, me, myself. The Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, Dhamma. The body, the feelings, the emotions, the mood, and the thinking, the cognitive faculty, cognizing ability. So when we start to focus on this and go with that from the Samyak Drushti, checking whether there is I, me, myself in there or Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, you start to realize all experience at the end of the day is Netang Hamasmi, Netam Mama, Neto Hamasmi, Neto Attati. We cannot find I, me, myself. Not myself, not me, not my soul, or there is no permanent entity in here. We come to that answer. Netam mama, neto hamasmi, neto attati. Because you're starting to see anicca, dukkha, anatta as the actual quality. The reality is that rupa, vedana, sanya, sankara, vijnana, producing, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, everything is in the nature of anicca, dukkha, anatta. So what is anicca, dukkha, anatta? Netam mama, not me. Neto hamasmi, not myself, sorry, netam mama, neto, not myself, netang hamasmi, not me, neto attati. This is not my soul, or there is no static thing to take as here I am. So we get that, come to that realization now, oh, that non-self aspect. All this time we thought, here I am, there is a world out there. But it is now that breaking down this delusion, breaking down the ignorance, and wake up to the realities. So the wisdom will cut through to what we were so ignorant and deluded about this I, me, myself business. So this is why they are called 7 factors of enlightenment. So when we practice this sati, Dhamma Vijaya means sati is like, you are putting a torch to that dark area, then you can start to see. Dhamma Vijaya is like that. Sati is your introspecting, your bringing your attention within, inside. So now when you bring, because before it was about what they do, where they go, what they eat, what they said, it's all about outside, others. But now you cut it off, you bring this attention to within. When you do that, it's like lighting the torch to that dark area. Now you start to see, moments with experience. Anicca dukkha anatta, ne tammama, ne tohamasmi, ne toattati, dhamma vichaya. So you're dissecting your experience. You're doing your yoniso manasikara in full blast now. Because the mind is in a very samadhi state. It's not disturbed. It's not running around. Because you started from samya drishti with understanding and with right thinking, and then right restraint of your speech, action, the way you live. This is a path. This is why I said you just cannot do samatha or just vipassana. This is a path, a progressive path that brings us here with this wisdom understanding. So now you have done your foundations. You have this samadhi will not get disturbed just because you stand and go and walk and do things. No. When someone comes to this proper samadhi at this stage, they function with that in their day-to-day life. They eat, they cook, they go here, there, they talk with people. No 5 hindrances. 5 hindrances are not limited to not to have when you're only sitting. No, this is about mind. When you purify the mind, when the 5 hindrances are gone, it's gone. Just because you came out from your meditation cushion, you're not going to lose your peace and that relaxation and bliss unless you dirty your mind, unless you allow the unwholesome thought to go in the mind. But now you have got the training to not any unwholesome thought to arise in here. And you don't even allow any unwholesome thought to arise. If something arises, you got get rid of them. And now that you have put the plug to unnourishing and unwholesome thoughts, after some time, there won't be anything to arise. So mind is very pure, very calm now, peaceful. So it is with that samadhi, based with that samadhi, you can do this, developing the Saptabhajjanga, developing the 7 factors of enlightenment. That stretch is called vipassana, that proper yoniso manasikara, because you have a very clear mind, very sharp mind. So you see it because there's no other distracted thoughts or emotions or anything. The brain is very clear from all the chemicals. There's no brain fog. The mind is very sharp. It can develop this wisdom when you do this yoniso manasikara. You start to see things as they are, because that's what you have to see. There's no other disturbances. So this part is called the vipassana or the vidarshana. So this dhamma vichaya is what we call this, how you practice it, yoniso manasikara, through this satara satipatthana. Then we get virya, lot of energy we get, because before mind was so dull because we were bogged down in these lies, and we were not living honest life. We were deluded. We were living in our own world. But now that you're starting to see the truths, you get a lot of energy, virya, and you get to more and more you practice seeing this, because body will go more and more into relaxation, more and more to comfort, and more priti sukha ekaggata. And when you practice when you practice the satipatthana, the 7 factors of enlightenment start to get developed. And then the 6th factor of enlightenment is called samadhi, 7th one is upekka. So sati, dhammavichaya, virya, priti, passaddhi, samadhi, upekka. So passaddhi is the relaxation of the body, that comfort comes with that, the sukha. Preeti is that the mind internally is so satisfied and happy now. And now this is happening with understanding. You're seeing it for yourself, whether there is I, me, myself or not. You're engaging the wisdom faculty. Not just purifying, but engaging the wisdom faculty. So the understanding gets more and more and more. Wisdom develops. So this vidarshana part, when you do that, then it will come to that align with the samma samadhi. So Samma Samadhi starts from 1st jhana, 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana. It ends up in the 4th jhana. Name to a 4th jhana is called Upekha. So this part is unreversible. So that's why the Vidarshana part is the one that fixes. Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo. Someone who comes to this state will not reverse back to developing Pancha Nivarana. They will only go forward from here and end up in Samma Samadhi. So that's the end of this path. End of this path means that Arahant is the result. We have got fully enlightened being who have understood, seeing the realities, who am I? They have understood there is no capital I to begin with. They have seen anicca dukkha anatta. They have seen rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana at work. That is what is here. So this is what the Noble Eightfold Path will take us to find liberation from suffering. So you saw the time that you start to practice seriously the Samma Vayama, you're purifying the mind, you're in the bliss, you're in the Samadhi, and you practice the 7 factors of enlightenment with Samma Sati, with the 4 foundation of mindfulness, Satipatthana. This get fixed. It will not reverse back. So your samadhi, the bliss that you're in, that relaxation and comfort and the peace in the mind, the happiness in the mind will not reverse until you die. So arahant will not lose this bliss until they pass away to parinibbana. So then there's no suffering, no mental suffering at all. So this is how we liberate. It's as long as there is I, me, myself, we suffer. I suffer. But you get rid of the I from the equation, no one to suffer. And the body goes into this, this relaxation, this passaddhi, sukha, priti, sukha, ekagata, bliss. So you live in bliss, no stress. So then for someone who is living in that samadhi bliss, they don't need the TV, they don't need drugs, they don't need songs, they don't need to dance, they don't need anything to do to be happy. They'll be very happy with just serving others, helping others, whatever they need to do, they will do it, and they will be happy all the time. So the most happiest person on earth is an arahant, is an enlightened being. The next to them is anagami, next to them is a sakradagami, next to them is a sohan. The worst one, suffering, is the lay pruthakjanas or the pruthakjanas. And the minute you leave that pruthakjana realm, from understanding this dukkha and the dukkha problem and how it arose, and you start to think in terms of this Chaturarya Satya, the 4 Noble Truths, and you engage your mind in every experience, seeing the 4 Noble Truths in it. Oh, this suffering arised. Because even Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, Adukkha Vedana, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral Vedana, what it has brought is a dukkha, a stress, a dukkha, a suffering. So you see that, then you will not get attached to any of this. You will not go after them. You see? So you will start to kind of get nibbida. You don't want them. You don't. There is that very nice stanza. Sabbe sankara dukkha, sabbe sankara anicca, sabbe sankara dukkha, sabbe dhamma anattati. See? So we need to reflect this. throughout our day-to-day practices, day-to-day, 24 hours. Sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, therefore. Therefore, sabbe dhamma anattati. Yada panyaya passati. We need to see this from the wisdom mind. Atanimbindati dukkhe, or atanimbindati loke. This is how nibbita, or the revulsion towards this. Revulsion towards we wanting to please the senses, we wanting to experience this, that, and the other, we wanting to busy, goes away. Seeing this trap, that we are trapped, seeing that, we will give up seeking these sensual pleasures and try to live in this ignorant way. Is the most dangerous way. We are cutting off a bliss that we can experience. We are very silly and because we didn't know this exists. So yada panyaya passati. Atanimbindati dukkhe or atanimbindati loke. I or the world, or it equals to dukkha. What we said, I, me, myself, and out there the world, all that delusion, that is suffering, that is the dukkha. It's ingrained in there. You can't separate it. Atanimbindati dukkhe esamaggo visuddhya. This is the path to liberation. This is the path to find freedom from suffering. This is the path to purify one's mind and liberation. So this is what the essence of the Buddha's teachings. Sambha papasansa akaranam kusalasnsa upasampada Sachitta pariyodapanam etang buddhana sasanam. So this is how you live that Buddha's pure advice. By following the Noble Eightfold Path. Give up that unwholesome, the akusala, develop the wholesome, the saptabhojjhanga, the 7 factors of enlightenment, purify the one's mind. It is through this we start to eradicate the suffering and experience bliss and stay in bliss until we pass away. So this is the path. So we have the potential to experience this, to live in this bliss. So I hope you all understood the importance of following the Noble Eightfold Path and practicing it in practice, and practicing it 24 hours. Tittan charan nisinnova sayanova yavatassa vigatamito. All the time. As long as you're conscious, you're not asleep. We need to practice this. If we practice this, we all can find freedom from suffering. So I wish all of you to be able to penetrate into the Four Noble Truths and understand this Dhamma and follow the Noble Eightfold Path, practice it, and may you all reap the results and experience the bliss of Nibbana in this very life. May you all be well, comfortable, peaceful and happy. Sukhi hotu, Teruvan Saranai. And if you have any questions, we can spend few minutes on that. But I hope I have done my best to explain to you what I understand. I may be wrong, so go back to the suttas, read them, and you will see it for yourself. So, but if you have any questions, please ask me. Does anyone have any questions? I think Venerable Lipap also there. Namami Are. Is there anything?
So I saw no one raise a hand to put the questions to Venerable Bodhicitta.
Maybe they're all enlightened.
I hope so.
Yes, that's the whole point. No, this is why we are trying to share what we know, so they all get the benefit from the Dhamma, so they can live without suffering, no? That's our wish.
So if there is no question, so please share the merit to end the session today. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Venerable Lipa, for joining, because I wanted to join your class on last Thursday, but I had an emergency. Then I had to go to a hospital. So I couldn't join, but I was planning to. But I had other plans. But I'll try this Thursday. Thank you so much. So much merits for the senior RAs. First, I bow down and put my forehead in their feet and pay respect to from the Mahapajapati Gautami Teri to up to now, and for the future bhikkhunis. And also, I would like to pay my respect to the Sangha, starting from the Sariputta Moggallana, the Thero, and then up to now, and even for the future Mahasangha. And mostly, even at the beginning, I did first pay respect to the Lord Buddha, and even now I would like to pay respect to the Lord Buddha for helping us to awake and to find freedom from suffering, from this net of delusion. The Buddha had pointed a very clear path that we all can practice. If we practice, we can be liberated. So I wholeheartedly, with so much gratitude, I pay my respect to the Lord Buddha once again. So let's share the merits. Today we have generated a lot of merits through discussing the Dhamma, sharing the Dhamma, and trying to understand. And hopefully, if you understand, you'll be able to put it to practice. And then hopefully we will get the Magapala the people who are walking on this path and experiencing these fruits. And at the end, we will get a Arahat. So what we been doing is something very wholesome, very valuable. So it generates a lot of positive, good energy. So let's share this merit that we have generated today by sharing the Dhamma, teaching the Dhamma, spreading the Dhamma. It generates a lot of merits. So let's share these merits with the devas, with the Samyadrishtika devas, and also with any deva that like to partake in these merits. May the devas benefit from these merits. May their happiness increase, the divine bliss increases, and may they long protect the Buddha's dispensation, you and me, and may they help us, guide us towards attaining the Nibbana. And also, one fine day, when they wish to attain Nibbana, may they be able to attain the bliss of Nibbana according to their choice, whether they want to follow the Samma Sambodhi or the Pacceka Bodhi or the Shravaka Bodhi. May these merits bring causes and conditions and benefit them also to attain that full enlightenment as and when they wish, according to their favorable path. So let's keep that in our mind and share the merits of the devas, and also with the departed, our teachers, the monks and the nuns, and our departed relatives, friends, devotees. If there's anyone who is in need of merits and who would like to share these merits, partake in these merits, let's share the merits with our departed loved ones too. May they benefit these, and may they also be able to find peace and happiness from wherever they are. In case if they are in a lower state, with an unhappy mind, with a lower mind, may they be able to access these merits and inspire them, get into good high energy, and may they be able to leave that unwholesome states and be straight away be born in elevated states and in the good realms, and may they be able to follow the Dhamma from there and practice the Dhamma and be able to find freedom from suffering, and may these merits help them also to find peace of mind and happiness from wherever they are, and attain the bliss of Nibbana as soon as possible. Also, let's share the merits with all beings. May all beings benefit from these merits, and may they also find freedom from suffering and attain the bliss of Nibbana as soon as possible. So keeping all these loving, kind thoughts in our heart, let's share the merits with all of these beings. Akasatta ca bummata devanaga mahibika punyam tang anumuditva chiran rakantu lokasasanang. Akasatta ca bummata devanaga mahidika punyam tang anumoditva chirang rakantu desanang. Akasatta ca bummata devanaga mahidika punyam tang anumoditva chirang rakantu mang paranti. Idam minyatinang otu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam minyatinang otu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam minyatinang otu sukita hontu nyatayo. Etavata cammi sabbadang punya sampadang sabbe devanumudang tu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etavata cammi sabbadang punya sampadang sabbe bhutanumudantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etavata cammi sabbadang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumudantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Also, let's make the aspiration. May all these merits that we have generated today bring causes and conditions for all of us to find not the association with the wicked and the foolish, but to find the association with the good and the wise until we attain Nibbana. And also, let's make the aspiration that may all the merits that we generated today bring causes and conditions for us to penetrate into the Four Noble Truths and to see our own defilements and our own ignorance, the delusion, and all the kilesas, and be able to eradicate them and be able to develop the wisdom, the 7 factors of enlightenment wisdom, and to attain the Nibbana. Keeping all these aspirations in the mind, let's keep them in the mind and strengthen them. Imina punya kammina mami bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana paptiya. Imina punya kammina mami bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana paptiya. Himina punya kammena mame bala samagamu satan samagamu hotu yava nibbana pappiya. Itam me punyang asavakaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamujatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I also want to wish everyone, may all of your parents, your teachers, your siblings, your relatives, I think this is only for the venerables, I think so. Even if they have in their lay life children, grandchildren, and anyone and everyone, the loved ones, may you all be able to benefit from these merits. May these merits bring you all good health, relaxation, long life, peace of mind, and may all these merits also bring causes and conditions for you all to find all your good aspirations to come true. May all the venerables who are involved in spreading the Buddha Dhamma to the four corners of the world, may these merits bring causes and conditions for you all to find more and more support, strength, courage, and goodness and wisdom, so you can be a torchbearer and spread this Buddhism all around the world successfully. And also may these merits bring causes and conditions for all of us to penetrate into the Four Noble Truths and understand the Dhamma and experience the path and the fruit, and then attain the bliss of Nibbana in this very life. May you all be well, comfortable, peaceful and happy. Abhivadana Silissa Niccang Buddha Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvarno Sukham Balang Ayuraroga Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samejjatu. Vandamyare to the senior nuns, I pay my respect. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, thank you, Venerable Bodhicitta. And now we will end our class today. See you again on Thursday afternoon. Yes.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.